Good morning, people. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Smash just did a wonderful live there, so I said just come on the tail end of that to let you guys know I'm doing a show on Saturday with Elder Yara called Cross Coaches Podcast, episode 1. So just doing a little promo for that. I'm a little juiced up and hyped up, so I said let me come on, catch a little tail end, give you a little 5-10 minutes, and go and lay down, right? But Saturday. Saturday. Everybody tune in. Everybody tune in. Check it out. It's going to be a wonderful show, non contentious. It will be a dual podcast between me and El Yara's platform, New Torah Movement, aka Tanks on the Ground. So we're going to be doing that this Saturday. A little wonderful pre Christmas gift to you guys. So the link is in the chat if anybody wants to come in, which I doubt because it's here 7 o'clock in the morning. Some of you guys just got off a Smash, or big up to Smash for doing his erratic thing. Hopefully soon I get up enough courage to be able to come on here and teach some medu lecture myself. But that remains to be seen. But I'm most certainly going to tune in to Smash Rockwell when he's doing what he's doing. So I can learn and expand my knowledge. So when I come up against people who ask me, can I read? I can say yes, and I can try and prove that I can read through, showing them these shows. So, good people, it's your boy Jose. I just got off work. So I'm just dropping in to do a little promo. I know I ain't gonna catch no audience. Definitely not. But one person is in there. So if you want to come in and chat, we could do so for a little bit. Boy, thank goodness for the one viewer that has keep you hyped up and juiced up and going. Whoever that person is, thank you so much for always tuning in. I don't know who it is. I'm turning my camera. Thank you, one viewer. Thank you to that one viewer. Thank you to that one viewer who's always tuning in. The link is in the chat. The link is in the chat. Oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. Sorry about that, folks. My camera came on accidentally. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to do that. But look, I got 2 viewers, man. That's good. That's good. That's good. You guys got me juiced up. So let me read a couple of texts. Maybe you guys will come in, talk for a little bit, and I could go lay down. But I can't turn my camera on because I'm not dressed. But I got 2 viewers in here. Let me go ahead. Excuse me. Read some text. I'm definitely gonna mess it up, but I don't have the text in erratic to go to it, and I can't share my screen. Hopefully soon, I will definitely be able to do them up. I'm supposed to get it. My wife's supposed to give me a little tablet for Christmas, so hopefully today, between today and Saturday, I will get the tablet. So let's see what I could read by the time. I don't even know what I could read by the time. Yes, I'm just trying to be consistent with these lives. Because this is what, look, 4 people in the building. 4 people in the building, man. Look. You get me juiced up, man. You get me hyped up. So you guys, you could reveal yourself in the chat to let me know you're here. Just put your name in the chat, say what's up, so I know who it is in the room. But I got 4 people in here, man. So that's wonderful. So let me look for something to read. I don't even know what to read again. Maybe a little bit of Stolen Legacy. Oh wow, went up to 12 people, man. That's great. So let me go ahead. Read a little bit of Stolen Legacy. Anybody want to come in? The link is definitely in the chat. Chapter 3: Greek philosophy was the offspring of the Egyptian mystery system. This is Stolen Legacy by George G.M. James. The Egyptian theory of salvation became the purpose of Greek philosophy. The earliest theory of salvation is the Egyptian theory. The Egyptian mystery system has its most important object, the deification of man, and and thought that the soul of man, if liberated from its body feathers, from its bodily feathers, could enable him to become godlike and see the gods in his afterlife and attain the beatific vision and hold communion with the immortals. And that is a quote from Ancient Mysteries, C.H. Bale, page 25. So once again, it's a pretty old book, but it still holds true. Plotinus defines this experience as the liberation of the mind from its finite consciousness when it becomes one as identified with the infinite, which would be like an ark, right? That's what they would call that in ancient Egypt, if I'm not mistaken. This liberation was not only freedom of the soul from bodily impediments, but also from the wheel of reincarnation or rebirth. It involved a process of disciplines, of purifications, both for the body and the soul. Since the mystery system, right, that is called water purification, pouring water over yourself to purify your body, symbolizing a spiritual purity. Like the modern university, this like right, but also from the real of brain disciplines, purification for the body and the soul. Since the mystery system offered the salvation of the soul, it placed great emphasis upon its immortality. The Egyptian mystery system, like the modern university, was a center of organized culture, and candidates the leading entered it as the leading source of ancient culture. According to Petchman, the Egyptian mysteries had three grades of students: the mortals, i.e., probationary students who were being instructed but who had not yet been experienced the inner vision. Two, the intelligences, i.e., those who had attained the inner vision and had received mind or nous, and the creators or sons of light, who had described those grades as equivalents of intuition, illumination, and perfection. For years, they underwent disciplinary intellectual exercises and bodily asceticism with intervals of tests and ordeals to determine their fitness to proceed to the more serious, solemn, and awful process of actual initiation. Right. So, I see nobody is commenting. Okay. Yeah, Christopher, what's up?
Yo, what's up, man? What's up?
Tough man. I was Smash had me juiced a little bit, so I said, let me come on, talk my talk, because I'm actually supposed to have Elder Yara on my platform Saturday. I
Mm,
don't know if you heard that yet.
mm-mm.
Right. So I'm actually supposed to have him on to do my first Cross Cultures podcast. So what do you think about that?
I think that'd be pretty good. I mean, definitely gonna get views.
But he's not. I realize he's not as anti-Kemet as I thought he was, huh?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's so many different groups of Hebrew Israelites, man. Yeah. It's
So
you
I
can
say,
you cannot you cannot. One thing I learned years ago, you cannot group them all into one basket for sure.
yeah, man, he has a lot of interesting presentations. He does presentations about Kemet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen them, but I realize that some of the sources he used are not the best sources. So I said we're gonna go over like the TLA and things like that. So he seems interested in doing that. I'm probably gonna go over Amos, son of Ibana, as well, because I
Mm.
have the primary. But with primaries is not always the best thing to read from because a lot of times people stumble and bumble over the words. If you understand what I'm saying.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah, yeah. You have to. I
Right?
mean,
And then you got this ripped up, that ripped up, this is that, and then it takes a long time for you to look at it. So if you go into the text corpus, it's the same glyphs, and you could read it better. And I get to show off my little metal nature skills too. Break down my little determinatives and things. Yeah.
yeah, you want to choose something that's gonna let your conversation flow and not have to, you know,
But
guess.
you
Well,
never
what is
sent me.
this?
But you never sent me the documents, Chris. I'm waiting so long.
What documents was I supposed to send you? Oh, I remember. Yeah, the West African literature. I think I have that on another disk, another storage drive.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I think it's. I think. Yeah, I think that now that I can send you, but those other documents I can't send you because they're copywritten. So there's a site where you can go and get all that stuff at. Um,
Okay. Well, you can send me the link.
yeah, it's a link. Matter of fact, Smash uses it a lot. We all use it. It's a link where they have a lot of Egyptological texts. Um, I think I was. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. All of my African literature I have on uh, well, African. When I say African, I mean West African, Central African literature. I have that on
But
a separate drive.
I have some good news, Chris. I'm getting a tablet, so I'll be able to share my screen soon.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, it'd be a
My
lot.
wife
Yeah.
gave me a tablet, so hopefully by Saturday I'll get it, so I can do that. But
Yeah.
I
But
wanted to, I wanted to go over the Hatshepsut stele.
they have steps to what?
The Hatshepsut, not stele. The Hatshepsut Tekanu and Karnak.
Oh, okay. Oh
'Cause
yeah,
I
yeah.
was looking,
That's standard. Yeah, that shouldn't be too bad.
but it's interesting though, because like when she's looking at, like, I mean, this would have been the first time for the Sarah, correct?
The
Or no?
first time?
When you started use like Sarah and things like that, would she have been the one who did that?
Nah, the term Sarah was around before her. She wasn't the
Right.
first to use that.
But she'd have been the one who probably started more the beloved of Amun, right?
Amun worship? No, there were.
No, not Amun worship. Like she would have been the first one to call herself beloved of Amun, or that was around before too.
No, would she be the first? Nah, she wasn't the first to call herself the beloved of Amun. Um, but to solidify herself, to make herself legit, she started using it more, incorporating it. It was more of a political thing to validate herself as being the regent, the pharaoh. But the term goes back way before her.
But
Except
she
that
was,
men didn't have to try to validate who they were to people.
but she was so interesting because she was literally, what's up, Robin? She was literally reigned as a queen and a king.
Yeah, but when you read her inscriptions, and this is where I think some of the Israelites, I think sometimes drop the ball, not all the time, but if you read her inscriptions, she lets you know that she is a woman.
No, for sure. But what I'm
Yeah,
saying was, she started out as the great wife of the king, and then eventually, after all a gang of drama, she took over. So
right.
technically, at the time, she was reigning as king and queen.
Yes.
So correct, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
She was
Yeah. But
literally
but
king
but but
and the
so
queen.
did the other four women before her. Before her, I think that'd be a good show. You should do a show on um, women who were kings or rulers of Egypt.
I should, right?
Yeah, I think the record there are about four or five of them.
But I think her Shepsut was just the one that stood out because she was the one who was considered to be like the start of the dynasty with um, Tut, Tutankhamun, and I think Ramses was one as well, right? As
Yeah, well,
well
she
as
came. Well, yeah. Well, the ending of the 17th dynasty would be the beginning of that
as
Theban
right,
rule of
right, as
kings. And
well as
yeah,
what's his name? His oh gosh, all of a sudden his father to kick Akhenaten. So
yeah,
she was so,
that was after her. Yeah,
right. So
yep,
technically,
way after.
technically she's the matriarchal. Well, she is the matriarchal founder of that particular line, correct?
You say she's the matriarch?
Yeah, in terms of she would be considered, they would be considered her. You know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm trying
Well,
to
well,
say,
she was special because she came from that Theban rule, that Theban bloodline, the
right? So she would have
Tutmosis.
been, but she would have been their direct. They went her direct lineage then.
Yeah, she definitely had direct link to that Theban group.
Right. So that's an interesting bloodline, huh?
Yeah, because that whole bloodline seems to come from right around the bend in the Nile. All of those. Now the women, they of course they're women. Well, some of the women were foreign, but the male bloodline, except for Ramses, Ramses' bloodline comes from the Delta. But that Theban bloodline seemed to be a powerful group. Matter of fact, Bud speaks on that a lot.
Yeah, they did, right? I think that's Ramses the second was in there too, right?
No, the Ramessids are Delta dwellers. They come from the Delta.
No, no. But what I'm saying is they are they are not in that direct bloodline too.
No,
What
that
I'm,
they come from the Delta.
oh, I thought one of the Ramses was in there too.
Well, yeah, I mean Ramses the third, but the male bloodline though starts in the Delta.
Okay, and that okay.
Yep, and that's why the Ramses the second. I'm sorry, that's why Seti had no problem taking Set as his chief deity, if you will.
Okay.
In part, that's what people think.
Okay, but that's a very interesting bloodline. But she was erased though. I mean, well, kind of, sort of, right?
Well, no, she had a daughter.
Now, when I say erased, I mean like in Karnak, like they built the next some of her descendants built like something to cover up some
Nah,
of
that was
her.
that. See, I don't buy that theory.
No,
Most kings, most rulers seem to, um, at some point, chisel over, reuse um, the previous ruler's stuff because it just makes it easier.
I'm just because I was kind of reading. They were trying to make it seem like
Yeah,
they're trying to make it seem like he just covered up the thing. Say, forget about Hatshepsut. Bam, get rid of that.
yeah. No, I mean if that was the case, then I don't think we would have all the inscriptions and
But
literature
that's
that
what
we
I'm
do have
saying.
about her.
Because
Yeah,
it didn't seem like we clearly, even though he would have built something around it.
right. Now, what she did do, she was the first around that time where they started to incorporate the wadis and the Western Desert as their tombs. That started
But
around her time.
you see, here come another weirdo again. Some weirdo in the chat. I had a banner or her. Some
Yeah, I don't look
weirdo.
at
I
that stuff,
clicked on
man.
it.
It could be bots. I don't even look at that stuff anymore.
What is that? Nah, but that's right. So, but the way it seemed to be, he put something in front of it, but clearly he didn't block it because we have all the stele, correct?
Oh, wait, what
They
happened?
were saying
I knew
that
you were talking to me. I thought you were describing a
they
weird
were.
person in the chat.
I was, but apparently when I was reading it, I don't know if it's Ramses or one of the other pharaohs built a structure in front of one of the Tekanu, and they tried to say that was to erase Hatshepsut, something like that, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
But clearly he didn't erase it because the other thing was behind it, right? So
right.
they
That's
could
that's
have
what I'm
seen it.
saying.
They could have
If
seen it.
like let me give you an example. When Akhenaten came to there's a text when Akhenaten came into rule. He had these groups of people, these men that he sent throughout the Nile Valley, and their sole job was to go out and chisel out the word Amun. And
Wow,
and
that's
and the way we know that in part is because the men clearly couldn't read. So
they chiseled
Amun
out the wrong
appears
thing.
in many forms other than just in the name of, you know, the Neter Amun. So we have texts and we have inscriptions where they chisel out Yimun or Yamun, and it wasn't even the Neter's name.
All right, because they just had a passive familiarity with some of the glyphs.
Right. No, they clearly couldn't read. They were just given instruction. If you see these three glyphs, chisel it out.
Wow, that's crazy. So I guess reading wasn't so important in the ancient world, was it?
Oh yeah, no. If you could read and write clearly, I mean, we know from just reading the literature, you were a big shot. You could read and write. I mean, think about it. They had a whole village of people who could read and write, and they were well taken care of for the most part. Right.
Like
Daryl Medina was separate from everybody else. That was their own village.
I understand that, but it seems to me, even in those times, you people could, I guess, afford to be illiterate, so to speak, right? I guess, right? Since writing was new, I guess there was reasons why people were illiterate, other than just they didn't
Well,
want to.
to learn to read and write took a lot of work, and you had to have time to do it. Right. You had to have the resources. I've read some writings from a woman, and some other people, and you could tell that they really weren't skilled at writing. I read a letter once where a woman was talking to her dead husband, and she would inscribe things on the bottom of bowls for him, and telling him things like, "I wish you were here. I need you here. I need your help. You know, your daughter and I need your help." But you could tell she really wasn't skilled at writing, though. You could tell she was, because it was a lot of grammar errors.
So she just did the best she could with what she had there.
Yeah. Now clearly he taught her, probably, or she was taught how to. She was in the process, but you could tell she wasn't like a skilled scribe.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
you could tell.
She was. What we call that functionally.
Exactly. Yep. She was functionally illiterate. Yeah.
Right. So that means if she sees it, she would know, but for her to try and write it, there's a problem. But she could. But in other words, when she saw it, she knew what it was.
Yeah.
But she couldn't write it properly based on her lack of I guess literacy skills, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it took a lot of time to do that, man. That's why people wanted their children to be scribes and not anything else. I mean, because once you get in, you in.
Yeah, boy. I was reading. I can't remember what text it was. I was reading some text. I think it was the biography of or autobiography of Ini. Are you familiar with that text?
Autobiography of who?
Ini. IEIENI, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's the one where the father's pleading with his son. Yeah. I'm familiar with that one.
Right, and he was talking. He was boasting on how much he was rewarded by the Pharaoh, and apparently he was an emir of projects, right? It seems like he was in charge of building monuments, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was so grateful and happy that he was rewarded by the Pharaoh, and he was I don't know if you call that humble bragging or egotistical. I don't know how you would describe that, because he seemed a little boastful, but he still seemed humble too, huh?
Yeah, because everybody didn't talk with the Pharaoh. Everybody wasn't like, the Pharaoh was off limits.
But
most people.
But the actual spirit of the letter was he wasn't really being boastful. He was like, I'm very grateful that I did these things, and I appreciate the rewards that I got. So if you obey the Pharaoh, you will get these rewards too. That was kind of what he was trying to get forth to people, right? I would say it was the spirit of what he was saying. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Because he was like, yeah, man, I did this, and I can look on upon it, and it's for the glory of the country. It sounded real patriotic more than egotistical, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, most of what they did was about patriotism.
It didn't sound like he was like, yeah, I did this and I did it because I did it. He I did this.
Well,
and
large scale things. Yeah, they did stuff. Yeah, because they were glad to serve the God on earth, the nature on earth. Yeah.
Some people think that's weird, Christopher.
Not people do it all the time.
No, but I'm saying people. I think some of us, when we first start, we tend to think because Kemet was so highly evolved and so sought after, they weren't regular people who did regular things.
Right. And that's why I said people need to stay. Well, I ain't gonna say what people need to do, but I think that's why it's so dangerous. Not dangerous. That's why I think it's just so short-sighted to just read monumental inscriptions. And so I always try to direct people to read Egyptian literature.
But then it's kind of but then the easiest thing you could get for an average person is monumental inscriptions. That's pretty much all they put up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, especially all the Kemetic shrine groups. Yeah, they tend to just read a lot of stuff.
No, not just them. Everybody, scholars. I mean, scholars tend to focus on those things.
No.
Well.
No. I haven't read wall inscriptions in so long.
I'll say this. When you're looking at the text corpus, you see a lot of that. Generally, you can see little one or two other little things, but you basically
Nah, there's far more um, scriptural. There's far more literature stuff in these text corpuses than wall inscriptions.
right.
That's just what people who are learning about the TLA and these text corpuses know about, right? But you have the museum in Italy. Their site is just has hundreds of papyri, hundreds and hundreds just papyri, and not just books of the dead papyri, like
all
literature,
kind
like
of things, right?
story stuff, like
Looking at
stories
everything.
and
Looking
bill
at
of sales and marriage contracts and those, love letters and all that
But I
kind of stuff.
noticed, but yeah, that, but you know what? That's true. That's true because the TLA encompasses so much.
Right, and I tell you that all the time. The TLA is not the go-to and end all.
But the TLA does have regular text too.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
It does, but mostly when you go to it, you're gonna see the popular text, like the quote unquote funeral text, the monument stele. Those are things that they're just gonna focus on. And but then again, when you're living in Trinidad like me, a lot of times I think it limits. I think it limits the usage of the text corpus. It seems that way because when I see people doing things in the States, it's like I don't have those functions here in the TLA. It doesn't allow me to do all of those things, to go into the text and do those functions. I don't know if it's me, if I'm tripping, or that's true.
But I guess it depends what kind of computing power you got. But yeah, though, I can see that being an issue.
It's not that, Chris. I think it just doesn't allow certain content and certain functions outside of the U.S. It seems that way to me.
Nah, because a group that I'm in, there are people from, clearly Europeans can get it, but there are people from Turkey and people from a couple of guys from Africa. Everybody else seems to get it. I guess it depends on what kind of system, network you all have, I guess.
But I'm in Trinidad, so it's probably all of that too.
Yeah, it's probably, yeah.
I'm quite sure being in Trinidad limits a lot of things because of how the system works.
Yeah, just the way the infrastructure is set up, probably.
But I get frustrated sometimes, Christopher, because I'm looking at some of these texts, man, and I'm trying and it just sometimes it just don't compute, bro. Sometimes it's just words I just don't recognize.
Yeah, that's part of it. You have to just
with everybody, right? Everybody sees words they don't recognize and they had to work through it. So that is nothing unusual.
Right. Because you're learning a language that's no longer spoken for the most part.
I put it on my own on top of that.
Right. And you have no one to speak it with. But that's why you have to put yourself in groups where people are doing the same thing. But here's the thing, though. I get it. But you have to get with a group of people who don't spend time arguing about things and just learning.
I'm with you, Christopher. But my fondest wish is that you and people like you would invite me into some of these groups. If you have the power to, but it may not be your choice to invite me.
I do, but you would feel left out because the groups that I belong with, we just read. We don't talk about the finer nuances of a man with a stick in his hand, or does Kim mean black? That's right. Okay. You have to now we do that in our back chat. But
I'm saying this, Chris. As long as I'm welcome into the group, I'm gonna do. If I sit down and be quiet for 5 hours, I'll do that. That's not a problem.
Right. Yeah. But you have to come in. It's not a beginners group, and that's cool. But you just got to do your part.
So if I'm invited to a group, what is my part in the group as a beginner?
To read text, because it's not fair that one person reads. So everybody reads, and then when we read, we discuss what we're reading. Well, and not always philosophy. We discuss grammar. We discuss cultural things.
All I'm saying is this: as long as you guys have patience to know that I'm gonna look at that, and I might say the wrong thing 5 or 10 times before I get it right.
Well, no. Well, no, we don't need you in that group. You're gonna say it wrong 10 times.
Well, listen, Christopher. I don't know what text you're looking at. I might be, you might give me a trial and say, get him in the group. I don't know.
Right. That's why the groups come in cycles. They're beginner groups. They're the advanced groups, right? Because they're levels, right? So you have to try to get in with the beginning group. And the beginning group can mean learning grammar or it could mean starting a text from the beginning and not the middle. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it'll be an issue of timing.
So can I get in? So right now, this is not the beginner group.
Oh yeah, at this point, yeah, no, well, honestly, I don't know what the beginning groups are doing. Um, so there are about 5 groups.
So would I be able to get in
There's a
groups
Coptic
now?
group, there's a Middle Egyptian, there's a Late Egyptian, there's a Demotic group, and
Well, I'm out of the Coptic, and I'm sure I'm out of the Demotic for sure.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, now we would put you should not we would put you, but you should do the Middle Egyptian group, right? You should do the Middle Egyptian group.
But I have to do the beginner group though.
Yeah, because if you came into the other groups, you wouldn't be able to read what we're reading. You'd be a bump on the log.
Don't put it that way, but yeah.
No, you would. No, you would. You would.
Yeah.
In our hieratic group, the stuff we're reading is not what Smash is reading. Not that that's easy, but we're reading Late Egyptian hieratic, which is different, kind of different.
Well, listen, wherever I could get in, I'm grateful to get in.
Oh no, for sure. I'm saying, but again, but you want to do your part though.
Because people are willing to take their time, and I'm very grateful whenever you come on here and take your time. And I don't want you to think that I'm not.
No, that's fine. I'm just saying, but I mean, but it's just like playing basketball, right? You know, if you're playing with 5, you want to try to contribute, something. Right. That's going to, because the whole goal is to finish the text.
Right. You can't be the one-legged guy trying to run on the field, right?
Right. The whole goal, because sometimes it takes us about a year or maybe 6 months to finish the text. So the more
what kind
people,
of text are you reading?
Oh man, see, yeah, it is.
I think 6 months, Chris.
Yes, it takes months and sometimes years to read this stuff.
Well, guess what? It took me about 6 months to read 2 Medu Neter grammar books, and I still have to read them again.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, yeah, people who normally read Medu Neter that fast normally don't get it. I was going to tell you that. You never read 2 grammar books in 6 months.
So wait a minute. So I'm thinking I took long, but I didn't take long. I breezed through it.
No. Well, yeah, see, you don't breeze through 2 Medu Neter grammars in 6 months. And I can tell you why. When you go through something that quickly, I can almost guarantee you didn't do none of the problem sets.
No. With Walter Ashby, I did, because that particular book is designed for you to do that. But it was
but that's beginner's Medu Neter. That's very, very beginnings.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the beginning course, yeah, you could do in 6 months, but the next 2 or 3 courses after that, maybe depending on Super Academy, I may have had 4 courses. Well, the next 3 courses after that take a year at least, or maybe 2 years. Yeah, you don't do it in 6 months.
I literally just read it.
That's fine. I mean, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, you don't read a language like that though.
I'm not saying I was in a rush, and I just wanted to be able to participate. And believe it or not, Christopher, reading those 2 books helped me be able to participate a lot more.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But to step the game up though, and that's why I like what Smash is doing, right? As maybe the last couple of years, you have to do problem sets. You can't just read a paragraph on the relative form and say I got it.
I definitely didn't say that.
I'm just saying, but most people, you have to go through and dissect the sentences, find the verb, find the subject, find the object, and then know why it's there. And that's slow. But then later on, though, you'd move so much faster later on.
Well, I think I'm quite sure at this point I could do that a little bit more in terms of breaking down the different parts of speech
and how they function. Okay, yeah, and that could, if you're looking at Medu Neter that way, then you're reading it. But if you're looking at it word, that's not reading a language.
No, I'm saying this. I haven't done it on my own. I'm doing it with Smash. But I think if I take time and go back over the books, I could probably do it a little bit more and analyze a little bit more. And I think I would pick up quicker. I think I would pick up quicker now, because when I first started reading the Papyrus of Anui, I realized I was pronouncing the determinatives, and that's
Now,
something
see, that's something you
that I
learn.
wouldn't
See,
now.
that's a beginner's thing. But beginners know that you don't read determinatives.
Right. But in my defense, I was self-taught, and I'm the king of window jumping, and I'm the king window jumper outer. So I didn't know that when I started.
Now, what's funny is there are groups of people who do that, but they tend to be in these Egyptian shrines and stuff like that. They think that determinatives are supposed to be spoken.
No, no, no. It's not that. It's not that I thought that. It's I was rushing through the text and I didn't realize that some of those things that I were reading were actually determinatives.
Right.
I was reading them as like I was reading the man as a man and not a determinative.
Gotcha.
I didn't realize it because I was rushing through it, and it didn't occur to me to after that's a determinative, bro. You don't read that. All of those
Yeah,
men you see, you don't read that. And then once again, the text itself is pretty jumbled up, and you understand what I'm saying. So you have to focus on it to be able to read it. Of course, you're Christopher Withers, so you know what you're doing. You've been doing this for years. But somebody like me could have easily made that mistake then, but I wouldn't make the mistake now. I
right.
know better, so I've learned from that. And when you're going through it, slow down. When you slow down, you realize that when you see a person's name, the next thing is a determinative. When you see a lecture, that's a determinative. So you don't read that after the man. You don't read the little, was it the A1 glyph after a man's name? You don't read that.
Or to put it grammatically, when you see nouns, you normally don't read the figure at the end. But if you have a verb that appears to have a determinative, normally, which verbs don't have determinatives for the most part. Well, for the most part, then you would in that case read it. So see, as I'm saying, if you look at them as as grammatical entities, then I think that will help you in determining if you should read it or not. Right?
Yes,
Because participles, for example, participles have determinatives on them.
right.
Yep.
I mean, what I'm saying is now I pretty much understand when you see a person's name, you're gonna see a determinative normally after the name.
Right. Yeah. That's true.
Either a man or a woman, or when you deal with a next, you're gonna see that determinative. But we also
Hmm.
have to understand that those things can be read on their own depending on the context of the sentence.
Right. If it's a
The A1
verb,
glyph,
you would read it. Yeah.
the A1 glyph can mean a man, me, my, whatever.
Right.
The neture sometimes could just be a neture.
Yep. True.
But if you see gap and you see the neture, you know it's just a determinative.
Right. But see,
And
what's
then we
interesting though, I'm noticing how you just jumped over something I said, which will take that to the next level. If you look at words and phrases as nouns or adjectives, then you don't have to remember it that way. See, I don't look at it how you look at it just now. I don't,
okay.
I
Okay.
understand that,
So you
but,
need to think in
but that
terms of the
method,
grammar and then a
yes,
lot.
use the grammar. That method can leave you short-sighted.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. There were nouns, verbs, and all those different things.
Right. Know how those things at the end behave when you have nouns, verbs, adjectives, and then that'll
Right.
take you that little that wider step.
Okay, so in other words, you have to understand that nouns have classifiers.
Right. Tonight. Right. So you got to learn
Think
how they
about it that
behave
way.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Nouns have classifiers.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's what determines to tell you what class the noun is in. If it's a person, if it's a place, if it's a thing, so on and so forth. Correct?
Right.
So that's
Hmm.
how you get to honing on the grammar as opposed to just not using proper terms. So start to think in proper terms. And anything that I need help with, I should go in and look at these particular things like participles and this and that to understand it. So when I'm reading the text, this is a noun, that's a classifier. This is a participle, this is that. This is an adjective, and this is how it's going to work in a sentence. So to help me be able to at least figure out what I'm reading.
Right.
So
Because
that
I
the
think one
next
time I
word
was
would be a
saying,
noun.
yeah.
Or this is an adjective describing an action. This is a pronoun describing whatever. So that way it does help you focus in a little bit. As opposed to just what would they call it? Cowboy. They have a word for it. Some type of translation. Yes, I forget the name of it. What do they call it?
Yeah. I'm
Is it
not
some?
familiar.
It's something like Jedamon told me the word. I forgot the name. But it's a type of translation where you're just looking at it and you just, you know, wow translation, just translating it wow. And that's something that people shouldn't do. But hopefully soon, I want to take a Medunetia course. But the problem is figuring out how to pay for it because I don't have a credit card right now. So I don't know what my options are.
Yeah, I think yeah, I mean, and I get it. Yeah, but I think but see, that's what I'm saying. There are groups. Let me go look and see where the Middle Egyptian group is at, because everybody should start with Middle Egyptian.
Because
Um,
I'm saying I want to take a formal course, but I need to figure out.
no, that's what I'm trying to tell you. The groups the groups that are in our little queue, they're free. But let me go see where the Middle Egyptian group is starting at, and let me find out what their cycle is, and if they're at the beginning, then I'll have the instructor invite you in.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I have the instructor invite you in.
I would appreciate that. So, man, I got so much I want to do. Once this tablet come, I'll be so happy because I could go into that these things and I could invite more people on. But I think what I really want to do with you, Christopher, when you have a chance, but I'm scared to do this because I know you don't want to be formally into the YouTube system. Because then once you're formally into the YouTube system, you're no longer objective. And then you become subject to the madness. So you might not want to, you understand what I'm saying? You might not want to do a show.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube. I'm on some places,
Yeah.
but
But remember something. You are still the outside dude who's the guest.
yeah, for sure.
And that makes a big difference when people see you. Now, if you come on and do a show, then that will subject you to some other things. But I might have to curse people out and tell them, kiss my so and so, leave my brother alone.
Yeah, but I'm not worried about that. The people who normally will have all this conjecture to come about with normally don't really understand the language like that. So I really wouldn't worry about them very much.
And this is where I say, even though I'm doing the wrong thing, I shouldn't feel totally bad because at least I'm making the effort to try to understand it and not just talking. And if I don't know, I'm going to say I don't know. I'm not going to come on like inking these people and say things and then later on you find out they don't know what they're talking about. They know two glyphs and that's it. If you put something in front of them, they can't read nothing on the page.
Yeah, it's or they default to Bud secretly. I found a lot of people on the internet do that. They read like they're translating, but then when you listen to it and see the transliteration, this budges.
Well, I'm going to be honest. It's one thing I learned about Budge, that his translations are not that bad.
Yeah,
It's
they're not that bad.
transliterations that people were tripping off of because he was transliterating things wrong. He wasn't translating wrong. He would look at something like ma'ah. Right? You understand what I'm saying? He would look at he would translate to see like ma'ah. And it's really erit and things like that is where he was going wrong.
Right. I mean,
because his translations were pretty much spot on. You know, he has some good translations.
Yeah, but the nuances were off. His translation was spot on, but the nuance is off.
Yeah, he would look at something like ma'ah and translate it to see, and that's not in terms of like seeing with your eyes, and that's not true.
Right, because there are certain grammatical forms that Budge at that time wasn't completely aware of that were still in development.
Yes, but a lot of it. I mean, I think most of his translation was all right, but probably was all right. But when he went off, he went way off. Well, not way off, but you know, he as you say, he definitely didn't have the nuance. I've read some of his texts, and the texts seemed cool, but I look at some of the transliteration, I identified his transliterations wasn't right, wasn't all the way correct. Definitely not. I don't know what system he was using, but I don't read his books. But apparently, he had some. His books make some good points, but I don't read them.
Yeah, they do.
I just go through for the Medunetia. I don't really read the book. Do you think I should read Budge's books or no?
You should. You should.
I should, right? I should, right?
I wouldn't recommend anybody looking at this show to start there, but yeah.
I should, right?
like we say, no beginner should read anything budge.
Right. You're saying I should not really read his books at this point.
No. I said for the show, I would say no beginner should read anything budge.
Yeah, that's true. Right.
Budge is not the go-to for anyone who's beginning the language.
To learn
not.
Definitely not, right?
Right.
Now, you could read his books in terms of some of his information. Some of his information is cool.
Yeah.
That you could quote his information, but as far as Medu Neter, anybody would tell you stay away from budge from Medu Neter.
Yeah, don't do it.
Even though
you'll pick up all his bad habits if you do that.
Even though I do read his books for the text, for the translation, because his translations are good, but I have to warn people his transliterations are not good.
Yeah, man, budge.
So if you just want to read in terms of reading text, yes, you can read him for text.
Right.
And you can read him for information. But do not ever try to use his transliterations.
Yeah. Don't do it.
Because them transliterations is not where it's at.
Well, transliteration scheme, anybody can make up a transliteration scheme, right? But it's just that like I said, there are grammar forms, that were being developed, that have been developed, that clearly he wasn't, I guess, in tune with. He wasn't keeping up with.
I think he was out. I think at that time he was just an outlier who just wanted to do.
Yes, and that's one of the biggest complaints in the community of Egyptologists. He really didn't get involved with a lot of peer review.
Yeah, even at that time.
And yeah, even at that time, and not that he necessarily needed it, but he worked alone completely.
So he was like the Zahi Hawass of that time.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Because you hear Zahi Hawass say things like, he was on Joe Rogan and he made a statement to try to say that, I think he was implying that because in the Westcott Papyrus, they're writing about magic, that it was an actual true story. That really happened. I think he was trying to imply it really happened. I hope he wasn't saying that, because I read that papyrus. And the papyrus was talking about a magician named Jedi who chopped off a goose head. I put the goose head on one side and put the goose body on the other side, and they wiggled together. So I hope you don't think that they were trying to be literal.
Yeah, I hope not.
Because I think it's clear when the story started that the prince was just entertaining his father.
Yeah.
But the prince was a historical prince, right?
No, not that I know of. The king was historical, the characters, but that actual story was not, though.
The son's name was DDF, right? Something like that, right?
Yeah. In most stories, they always use real people names in their stories, but the events are not real. Yeah.
But I'm saying though, his son, he had a son named DDF or something like that, right?
Yes, Jededef. The names are actual people. Yes.
Right. So that was his actual son, but the son was entertaining him because apparently he was bored one day. It seems like, right? He was bored one day, and the son started telling stories. Yeah, and even in the story, and even in the story, the prince was saying, he was telling the story about another pharaoh who was being told the story to get entertained.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, that's why I said that all their writings are real people and based on some kind of true events, but of course they ad-lib a lot of stuff too. Yeah.
But the story made me laugh because he was saying that the pharaoh had some women running around topless to entertain it, and I started to laugh at the story because it was a typical man story.
Mm-hmm.
It was. I mean, there was nothing. There was nothing. You know what I mean? It was just the pharaoh was bored. They said bring some women to dance around and to entertain him. It was a typical man story. There was nothing.
Hello. I think you lost connection. Yep, I can't hear you anymore. I think the connection lost.